Thank you, Chairman Grassley. This week in my home state of Illinois, President Trump deployed the Texas National Guard over the objection of our governor. To my Republican colleagues, how would you react if a Democratic president deployed the National Guard from any state into your state over the objections of your governor? Imagine masked Border Patrol agents in military tactical gear marching through your state's largest city. As a top Border Patrol official bragged, the agents were arresting people based on, quote, how they look. Imagine if federal agents rappelled from Black Hawk helicopters to swarm an apartment building in your state, breaking down doors, yanking people out of bed, zip tying and detaining U.S. citizens, your constituents, including children for ours, including American citizens. Imagine if federal agents pointed an assault rifle at one of your constituents, simply taking a picture. If they fired pepper balls at a minister who was praying on the street and a reporter who was simply driving past a protest site doing her job. Imagine if they tear gassed not just peaceful protesters in your community, but local law enforcement. This is the reality in my home state of Illinois at this moment. I don't believe a single one of us finds it tolerable to consider the conduct of this administration toward my state. Let me be clear. What's happening in my state of Illinois is unprecedented, unnecessary, and an unlawful abuse of power that should offend all of us. Oh, there goes that Democratic senator again. He must hate Donald Trump. Well, I can tell you there was a press conference before the National Guard arrived, called by the business leaders in my state, condemning the delegation of the Guard to Illinois. In deploying the National Guard to my state, President Trump has disregarded our Constitution's system of federalism embodied in the 10th Amendment, which reserves powers to the state that are not expressly delegated to the federal government. That used to be a common question from the Republican side. Now, radio silence. Chicago does not need, quote, be saved, as Kash Patel claimed in a tweet yesterday. We need the federal government to stop engaging in political theater and baselessly, recklessly escalating a situation in Illinois. Don't take it just from me. According to a sworn statement by Thomas Mills, police chief in Broadview, Illinois, DHS agents told the Broadview police that DHS would bring a, quote, excuse me for saying it, shit show to Broadview, including increased use of tear gas and pepper spray. Chief Mills said, quote, over the course of my career in law enforcement, the way in which federal agents have indiscriminately used chemical agents in Broadview is unlike anything I've seen before. This committee claims to support the police. Where is our concern for police officers in my state who are being tear gassed and prevented from protecting the communities they serve? I also want to address another issue, and that was a hearing this week with the Attorney General. This week, I asked the Attorney General a simple question. What is the legal basis for the deployment of the National Guard in Illinois? Think that question was out of line? Obviously, she did. She refused to answer. Instead, she launched irrelevant and baseless personal attacks against me. She said my question proved that I hated Donald Trump, asking what the legal basis was for sending National Guard troops to my state. She suggested I was influenced by donations from a friend of Jeffrey Epstein, Reid Hoffman. She used his name. Well, I checked my staff records. I've never received a dime from Mr. Hoffman, have no idea who he is. It was just a talking point to avoid answering my question. The Attorney General's stonewalling in response to the most basic oversight questions was not limited to me. Instead of answers, she responded to legitimate questions with prepared attacks and smears on other Democratic senators. None of my Republican colleagues would ever accept such contempt from a Democratic administration. As I said then and say again, I've been a member of this committee for more than 20 years. Never Never have I encountered a witness from any other administration, Democrat or Republican, responding to legitimate questions from these types of personal attacks. This administration is trampling over the separation of powers. Do we hear anything from the other side of the dais? We cannot allow the disrespect the Attorney General has shown for this committee's constitutional oversight authority to continue. Let me say on a personal note, too, it was my honor to be the chairman of this committee for 4 years. I tried to be fair. There were a couple times when things broke down. The 2-hour rule was imposed in situations that I thought was unfair. We have never done that to you, but it was done to me several times. I tried to work things out and be fair. And let me tell you how I ran the clock, and I really say to the newer members of the committee, I hope you'll hear me when I say this. The 5-minute standard is a good one, and the chairman, Grassley, is trying to impose it, as I did too. My standard approach was to give people 5 minutes, tap the gavel, and at 6 minutes, vocally interrupt them. That was the way I worked at 6 minutes. And if they were in the middle of a question, I let them finish. That's not unreasonable. In fact, I think it's fair. I hope you'll consider the same standard when you preside. Chairman Grassley, I urge you to work with us to press this administration to provide substantive answers to our legitimate oversight questions. Otherwise, why are we here? I did that for you and your Republican colleagues when I was chair, and I hope you'll do the same.